The architecture of genuine emotional impact, how depth, authentic presence, and settled selfhood make you permanently unforgettable, not through tactics, but through the quality of who you become. It's 2 a.m., you're lying awake, staring at the ceiling. Your phone is right there on the nightstand, face down. You haven't touched it in hours, but every part of you is waiting for a buzz, a glow, a name to appear, and it doesn't come. And in that silence, you feel something so loud it almost breaks you. You feel forgotten. Now flip it. Think about the last time someone crossed your mind so suddenly it stopped you mid-sentence. Maybe you were driving. Maybe you were in the middle of a laugh with someone else. And there they were. Vivid, undeniable, unbidden. You didn't go looking for that thought. That thought found you. And it felt like a hand reaching through your chest. That is the power we are talking about today. Not manipulation, not games, not the hollow tactics of someone too afraid to be real. We are talking about something far deeper, the architecture of genuine emotional impact, the way certain people carve themselves so permanently into the rooms of our minds that even time, even distance, even silence cannot evict them. Here is the paradox that almost nobody understands, the people who are most desperately trying to be missed. The ones texting every hour, performing constantly, shrinking themselves into whatever shape they think someone else wants. Those are almost always the people who are most quickly forgotten, and the people who are most powerfully missed. They are rarely the ones who tried to be. They are the ones who were simply, unapologetically, completely themselves, and then had the courage to leave space. The truth that this video is built on is this: being missed is not a social skill. It is the natural consequence of living at full emotional depth and allowing that depth to be felt by the people around you, without apology, without performance, and without need. So if you have ever felt invisible, if you have ever poured yourself into a connection only to feel like the moment you stepped away they forgot you existed, this is for you. Not to teach you how to play games, but to show you how to become someone who cannot be replaced. Stay with me. This changes everything. Let's go to the science first, because this is not opinion. This is biology. When you experience a deep emotional connection with another person, your brain releases a cocktail of neurochemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. But here is what most people don't know. The anticipation of connection activates the reward circuitry more powerfully than the connection itself. Neuroscientists call this reward prediction error. Your brain lights up not when you receive the reward, but when it expects the reward, and that expectation is not immediately met. This is why the text that arrives 2 days later feels more electric than the one that arrives in 2 seconds. This is why mystery creates longing while over-availability creates indifference. This is not cruelty. This is neurology. The first trigger, then, is emotional resonance with unresolved tension. The feeling of a song that ends a measure too soon, a conversation that left something important unsaid, a moment so alive that its absence becomes louder than anything else in the room. Dr. Carol Dweck's foundational research on the growth mindset gave us a concept that goes far beyond grades and performance. It showed that humans are fundamentally oriented toward people and experiences that make them feel capable of becoming more. We do not miss people who made us comfortable. We miss people who made us feel possible. Think about the people in your life who have left the deepest mark. Were they the ones who agreed with everything you said, or were they the ones who challenged you? Gently, fiercely, with full belief in what you were capable of, and made you see yourself differently in the process. The second trigger is identity expansion. When you help someone see themselves more clearly, more fully, more powerfully than they were able to see themselves before, you do not just become memorable, you become necessary, because every time they reach for the highest version of themselves, they will feel the echo of your presence. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi spent decades studying the state he called flow, that rare condition of total absorption where time disappears and the self becomes both fully present and temporarily dissolved. His research showed that the deepest human satisfaction comes not from pleasure, but from complete engagement. And here is where this becomes the third trigger: rare, full presence. In a world of fractured attention, of half conversations and scroll while talking and yeah, I'm listening while the eyes are somewhere else. Someone who gives you their complete, undivided, unhurried attention is not just kind. They are extraordinary. They are rare, and rare things are never forgotten. When you are with someone and you are fully, completely, undistractedly there, you do not just have a conversation. You give them something most people spend their entire lives being starved of: the experience of truly mattering to another human being. That does not fade. That echoes. These three principles, neurological tension, identity expansion, and radical presence, are the first pillars. But there are two more, and they are the ones most people never discover. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals, the ones he never intended anyone to read, words that have now survived nearly 2,000 years. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But what does a Roman emperor have to do with being missed? Everything. Because the deepest reason most people are forgotten is not that they were unworthy of being remembered. It is that they spent their entire lives performing for an audience instead of becoming someone worth watching. They gave their energy to managing other people's perceptions, shrinking themselves to avoid rejection, inflating themselves to impress, and in doing so, they hollowed out the very depth that would have made them unforgettable. The Stoics understood that the only thing you can ever truly own is the quality of your character, not your circumstances, not other people's opinions, your character. And a person of deep, refined, authentic character does not need to chase being missed, because their presence leaves traces that cannot be erased. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps and emerged to write one of the most important books of the 20th century, observed something devastating about human suffering. The deepest form of anguish is not physical pain, and it is not loss. It is the feeling of having lived a life that was not fully your own, the regret of the unlived life, the weight of all the words you never said, the love you gave only halfway, the version of yourself you kept locked in a room because you were afraid of what would happen if you let them out. Here is the brutal truth. Every time you dim yourself to avoid being too much, you are not protecting the relationship. You are depriving the other person of the person they were about to love. You are robbing them of the memory that would have kept them up at night, years later, asking themselves what could have been. The fourth trigger is vulnerability with dignity, the courage to be fully known, not despite the risk of rejection, but in full acknowledgement of it. Not recklessness, not emotional dumping, but the quiet, powerful act of saying, "This is who I am, this is what I feel, and I am not ashamed of either." People do not miss curated versions of other people. They miss the moments when the wall came down. They miss the laugh that was too loud and too real, the confession that came out at the wrong time, the tear that wasn't supposed to fall. They miss the proof that you were human and that you trusted them enough to let them see it. Epictetus, born a slave and freed to become one of the greatest philosophers in history, taught that the fear of losing something is almost always more destructive than the loss itself, because fear freezes you in a position of perpetual defense, and you cannot give freely, love openly, or live fully when your entire energy is absorbed in protecting what you might lose. The price of emotional self-protection is not safety, it is invisibility. And invisibility is not peace, it is slow disappearance. Before we get into the execution strategies, I want to name the fifth trigger, because it is the one that ties everything else together. It is the combination of radical emotional generosity and unshakable personal authority. What does that mean? It means being the person in the room who genuinely cares most about the conversation, about the other person, about the quality of what is being built between you, while simultaneously being the person least dependent on any particular outcome. It means giving fully and holding firmly, loving completely and needing nothing, being soft in emotion and solid in self. This is not indifference. This is not emotional unavailability. This is the highest, rarest form of human presence, and the people who embody it are never, ever forgotten. Now let's talk about how to build it. Stira tgyone, tgmarin gxitue, ofidnt. The first thing you must understand is that the person you are in your most important moments is not built in those moments. It is built in the quiet hours beforehand. Your morning routine is not about productivity. It is about priming your identity, reminding your nervous system, before the world has a chance to tell you who you are, who you have decided to be. Before you look at your phone, before you speak to anyone, spend 10 minutes writing, not about your tasks, about your values, about the person you are choosing to become today. This practice, done consistently, does something that no number of social tactics ever could do. It builds an inner life rich enough that people can feel it standing next to you. Every goal you pursue in your personal life should be rooted in intrinsic meaning, not in the impression it will create. When you are living for approval, you become translucent. People can see through you to the opinion you're chasing, and there is nothing to hold onto. But when you are living for something that matters to you on a level that does not require anyone else's understanding, your work, your values, a creative vision, a commitment that costs you something, you become substantial. You become someone who occupies space in a way that leaves an imprint. Build goals that scare you a little. Pursue things you would pursue, even if no one ever found out. That quality of direction without performance is magnetic in a way that cannot be manufactured. Stop treating your difficulties as things to be hidden, your scars, your failures, your honest reckonings with your own limitations. These are not weaknesses in your story. They are the texture of it. They are what make you real. The person who has suffered and continued, who has been broken and rebuilt themselves not perfectly but honestly. That person does not need to try to be interesting. They simply are. When something goes wrong, do not retreat into silence or performance. Process it. Name it. Let the people who matter see that you are human enough to struggle and strong enough to keep going. This combination, vulnerability and resilience in the same moment, is the single most emotionally striking thing one human being can witness in another. You cannot be emotionally generous with everyone all the time. That is not capacity, that is depletion. And a depleted person is not memorable. They are just tired. Protect your energy with intention. Have fewer conversations and make them count for more. Be fully present in the connections that matter and unapologetically absent from the ones that drain you. The person who is always available is never anticipated. Scarcity is not a tactic. It is a natural byproduct of having a life rich enough to take priority sometimes. Build that life. Fill your hours with things that refuel you so that when you show up for someone, you are showing up whole. Stira ajue fva. Imataionel regiulity sa foamof pa. One of the most overlooked aspects of being profoundly missed is emotional steadiness. In a world of reactivity, where every slight is immediately answered, where every insecurity is immediately broadcast, a person who remains grounded, warm, and clear-eyed under pressure becomes a sanctuary. People return to sanctuaries. People dream about sanctuaries on hard nights. This does not mean suppressing emotion. It means developing the capacity to feel fully and respond deliberately, to be moved without being swept away, to care deeply without dissolving. This is not coldness. This is mastery, and it is built one regulated breath at a time, one chosen response at a time, over months and years of quiet practice. This is the foundation of everything. Every trigger we have discussed, every strategy we have covered, none of it functions in the absence of a settled, solid sense of who you are. You must decide, not discover, decide who you are, what you stand for, what you will not compromise, what you bring to every room you walk into. Write it down. Say it aloud. Let your actions confirm it daily until it stops feeling like something you are telling yourself and starts feeling like something you simply know. The people who are most powerfully missed are not the most beautiful, the most successful, or the most entertaining. They are the most themselves. Completely, quietly, unashamedly themselves. In a world addicted to performance, authenticity is the rarest currency there is. We are at the part of the video where most people nod along, close the tab, and go back to doing exactly what they were doing before. And I want to speak directly to that impulse right now, because this is actually the moment. Not tomorrow, not after the next difficult thing resolves itself. This one, right now, while these words are still warm in your chest, before the noise of the world rushes back in and buries this under everything else. You are not watching this video by accident. Something in you is hungry for a different experience of yourself, of your connections, of the depth you are capable of. And that hunger is not weakness. That hunger is the realest, most trustworthy part of you. It is the part that knows you have more to give, more to become, more to leave behind than you have been allowing yourself to. So here is what I am asking you to do. Not someday, today, an identity declaration. Write down, right now, on paper or in your notes, 3 sentences. I am someone who gives my full presence to the people who matter to me. I am someone who lives with enough depth that my absence is felt. I am someone who does not need to perform to be remembered, because I am building a life worth remembering. Read those sentences every morning for 30 days. Watch what happens to how you move through the world. Second, the 30-day challenge. For the next 30 days, choose one relationship, one person who matters to you, and practice all 5 triggers intentionally. Create moments that carry emotional weight and leave them slightly unfinished. Challenge that person to see themselves more fully. Give them your complete, undivided attention at least once a week. Let them see something real in you that you normally keep behind the wall, and show up to every interaction from a place of inner certainty rather than need for approval. You will not recognize the quality of that connection in 30 days. Third, accountability anchoring. Tell someone, out loud in words, that you are committed to this. Not the tactics, not the strategy. Tell them that you are committed to becoming someone who lives at full emotional depth. Saying it to another person changes its weight. It moves from intention to declaration, and declaration has momentum. I want to leave you with this. The goal is not to be perfect, but to be relentless. You will not get this right every time. You will have days when you are distracted, reactive, closed off, tired, afraid. That is not failure. That is being human. The question is not whether you fall short. The question is whether you keep returning to your values, to your depth, to the version of yourself you are choosing to build. The people who are most powerfully missed across time are not the ones who never had a bad day. They are the ones who kept showing up fully in spite of every bad day, who treated their own growth as a non-negotiable commitment rather than a mood, who decided, quietly and without fanfare, that they were going to be someone worth knowing, and then became that, one ordinary day at a time. That is available to you, not as a distant aspiration, but as a decision you can make in the next 60 seconds. If this video opened something in you, if it shifted something, even slightly, then share it with someone who needs to hear it. Not for the numbers, not for the algorithm, but because the person you are thinking of right now might be sitting somewhere staring at a ceiling, waiting to be reminded that they are capable of something extraordinary. And subscribe, not because I need it, but because you are building something and you deserve a space that keeps pushing you forward. This is your moment. Don't let it pass.